how to get started with Python. This is going to be a fun video because this is something a little bit different. This is something a little bit out of my comfort zone. I'm not really too crazy about Python. I'm not really too crazy about coding in general, but I think that a lot of you are going to get some value out of this because I see that many of you who are subscribed to this channel are interested in coding. A lot of people are interested in coding in general right now. And this is giving us a little bit more of a versatility, a little bit more flavor to the content that we put on this channel, right? So if you're new, first and foremost, thank you for watching this video. Subscribe, comment, like or dislike. If you think that this video is not good, just dislike it. And if you really want to watch my content on a regular basis, make sure you hit that notification bell because I want you guys to keep coming back. I want you guys to feel like this is the community and for us to learn and grow together. That's the motto of this channel, right? So also, I want to say this too. I learned a lot from you guys as well. In the comments, you guys have been commenting some tips and some tricks and all that stuff, and I apply it to my content, right? You see in a few of my other videos that whenever you guys comment and I think that it's, a video in there, I definitely make a video out of the comments. So let me know what you would like to see. Let me know if there are some tips, some tricks that you want me to apply to this channel to increase the quality of the content. And I'm open-minded to that, right? As long as it's a cool vibe, as long as you are respectful to me, I'll be respectful to you. And that's what this channel is all about. It's all about learning and growing together, good vibes, and of course, tech content, whatever. So, yeah. Let's get back to it, right? Don't want to ramble on too long. So yesterday I was sitting around bored and I decided to learn a new skill, right? That's how I do. If I'm bored for too long, I say, it's time to learn something because I'm probably getting stagnant, right? And I decided that I needed a computer, a coding computer that I can walk up to or carry around with me and start coding and bring it wherever and start coding, start learning, start playing around, even if it's in the bed, even if it's on the couch, whatever, right? And I didn't want to use my Lenovo ThinkPad because it just does not have the proper specs. Luckily, I have this beauty sitting around. It's my 2012 MacBook Pro, and I was saying, maybe I could just code on that, right? Because I have plenty of other computers here, but they're pretty much desktop machines. So I said maybe I could code on that. Maybe I'll just reinstall Mac OS, refresh it a little bit. But I just got real curious. I was wondering if I can install Linux on a MacBook Pro. And the reason why I was wondering that is because I thought that Mac or Apple locked down their products to such a point where you can't boot another operating system on it for some reason. I don't know, maybe it's just the enclosed ecosystem of Apple that made me thinking that way or not even consider that I can do that. So I looked up a tutorial on YouTube and I found a way to install it on my MacBook Pro. So that's what we're going to be using here. I mean, this is not going to be a tutorial on how to do that. This is going to be mainly a demonstration on how to get started with Python through Linux, right? Specifically Ubuntu. I highly advise that you download Ubuntu, and yeah, because that's what we're going to be basing this demonstration on, right? So let me stop rambling and let's move on. All right, so this is what curiosity gets you, right? It gets you a brand new computer because my MacBook Pro was running really slow. Let me get closer to you guys. My MacBook Pro was running a little bit too slow for me, and I didn't like that. I didn't appreciate that because the 2012 MacBook Pro is a very solid machine. It's very modular. You can swap out the power supply, I believe the battery, I believe. You can swap out the hard drive. You can swap out the optical drive for an SSD or another hard drive if you will. There's so many things that you can do. You can swap out the trackpad. There's so many things that you could do with a MacBook Pro. I believe it was Luke Miani that pretty much, let me know from watching his channel that you can do so much with this device, and it's a waste to get rid of it. So I'm happy that I was able to install Linux on it and dedicate my coding activities to it, right? Specifically Python. So first, what are you going to need? Here's some things you're going to need, right? You're going to need 2 computers. You're going to need one to write Linux to a USB and one to install Linux on, right? So you need to get you, it's another thing you need to get you a USB drive with at least 8 gigs of storage on it, because we're going to be writing Linux to this drive. I mean, this is a what is this? It's a card reader. It's a mini card reader, but get a USB drive, and we're going to be booting Linux off of this drive, right? So again, you're gonna need 2 computers. You're gonna need a USB drive with at least 8 gigs of storage on it. And you're gonna need basic Linux command line knowledge, just how to navigate from folder to folder. You're gonna need to know basic commands such as touch and nano, but I'm gonna show you all of that. And if you're not good at navigating through the command line, navigating from folder to folder to directory to directory, I'll show you a little way around that as we progress, right? Also, you're gonna need patience because you might not have a smooth installation. I don't know what machine you're installing this on. If you're installing this on what was a Windows machine, it should be straightforward. If you're installing this on an old MacBook, maybe you happen to have an old MacBook as well. I don't know what the installation process is gonna look like for you, but I know that it was a smooth installation for me, right? So let's get to it. So first thing you're gonna do is you're going to take your USB drive and you're going to plug it into your system, right? Into the computer that you're going to be writing the Ubuntu distro to, right? And right, you're going to download Ubuntu desktop, right? As you can see here, see it right here. Ubuntu desktop homepage. You can visit the blog and drink the Ubuntu Kool-Aid or whatever. But I think this is a great Linux distro to start with because it has Python built into it, I believe, already. And oh, I do not want this to log out. I think it's still up and running. All right, I got TeamViewer running on my MacBook because we're gonna do all the demonstration off of there. But Ubuntu is a good solid distro to start with because it has Python built into it already, and all you essentially have to do is make sure that you have an upgraded version of Python and you're good to go, right? Simple and straightforward. So you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna download Ubuntu. It says that it needs 2 gigahertz dual core processor or better, 4 gigabytes of system memory, 25 gigabytes of free hard drive space. Internet access is definitely helpful, either a DVD drive or a USB port for the installer media. That's what we're going to be doing right now. We're going to be installing the download of Ubuntu to the USB drive, right? So I already did all of this already, so I'm just going to point you in the right direction and you can kind of figure it out as you go along, because after all, you should be learning this stuff even if you are CompTIA A+ certified. This is a great way to get comfortable with booting your operating systems and imaging and stuff like that, right? The general idea is, you know, in this video, right? So Google balenaetcher, right? It's a piece of software that allows for you to write Ubuntu to your USB drive. And what this is essentially going to do is it's going to create a bootable drive, right? Flash flawless. Flash OS images to SD cards and USB drives safely and easily. So you're going to go ahead and download this for your specific operating system. If you're using Windows, download Windows. If you're using Mac OS, use Mac OS. And then once all of that is downloaded, I would highly advise that you check your integrity of your Ubuntu ISO image. I showed you how to do that in one of my earlier videos. I believe it was the CompTIA A+ videos. I should have it posted somewhere around here. And you really want to make sure that the integrity is, you want to validate that integrity, because you don't want to get a file that was compromised by some sort of hacker or whatever. So whenever I'm downloading Ubuntu, I always verify its integrity, right? So the next thing we're going to do, let me bring this over here. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to pull up balenaetcher, right? Balenaetcher, right? And you choose the option of flashing from file. Choose Ubuntu. Also, make sure that this USB drive doesn't have any pictures of your kids, any important documents like your tax documents or anything that you want. And, you know, really vet your USB drive, because there's been plenty of times where I've almost deleted some important documents that I had on a USB drive. And thank God for like iCloud and Dropbox and stuff like that. I just upload all of my, shouldn't do that, but I upload all of my more important stuff to the cloud. And I also save physical copies on a physical hard drive, right? I save copies on a physical hard drive, right? That's called redundancy. You want to make sure that you have your important documents saved in multiple places, right? And don't do like I do and upload important documents to the cloud, because yeah, just don't do that, right? So next, you're gonna hit select target. Come on. Yeah, so this is not gonna work. You know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and do this because it's not allowing me to do that. All right, so we're gonna run an audible real quick. Let's run an audible real quick. So we're gonna use an actual USB drive. Don't use what I just used. I just try to use one of these, right? One of these little, let me see if it can show. Yeah, I just tried to use one of these little flash, little card readers. But let's walk through. Whoa, what's going on here? What is going on here? This is going crazy. All right, so let's do this. Right? Select, and then we're gonna flash it. Yes. And then it's gonna start writing to the drive, right? Now, I don't think I need to sit here and watch it install and all that stuff, but because I already did this. But this is essentially the process. You're gonna just go to, again, just to repeat, go here, download. Once you download it, verify the integrity of your copy of Ubuntu, right? And again, the beauty about Ubuntu, or at least this version, is it has long-term support. So it means 5 years until April 2027 of free security and maintenance updates guaranteed. So it's a great environment for you to learn Linux on, because it has a lot of free utilities, free security and maintenance updates guaranteed. So go ahead and download that. Then you're going to download balenaetcher, and then you are going to simply run it right here, right? And it takes, I don't know, somewhere around 10 minutes, right? So After you've done that, you're going to install Ubuntu, right? So I'm just going to go through my notes to tell you the process of installing Ubuntu, right? So these installation steps might be different depending on the system you have. It's going to probably be based off of different BIOS settings, but they're generally all the same processes. This is not something that you can't, finagle and figure out on your own. You might have a smooth installation process like I did, or you might have somewhat of a nightmare, right? So after you've installed after you've written your Ubuntu to your USB drive, you're going to install Ubuntu, right? So if you're installing Linux on Windows, it's pretty straightforward. Simply plug the USB drive in and turn on your machine. So you're gonna plug it in, and then when it boots up, it should give you a few options, right? It should give you an option that says something along the lines of try and install Ubuntu, right? Click enter, right? Or press enter, and you're going to move on, right? Now it says, then a prompt should come up asking if you want to try and install Linux. Select that option. If you're installing Linux on a Mac machine, here's another important part. If you're installing Linux on a Mac machine, plug the USB drive in and then turn on the power and hold the option button, right? So as you're booting up your Mac, press the power button and hold the option button. It's gonna take you to a screen, right? It's gonna have 3 different options, or maybe 2, add 2. It's gonna say Mac OS, it's gonna say, let me see right here, got it on my notes, it's gonna say EFI boot, or give you another 3rd option, right? EFI boot, right? I took this from a source, right? I think his name is Evnos Linux on YouTube. That's where I learned this from, right? If I were you, I would choose the option to log into your Wi-Fi if you have it. So just to be safe, I logged into my Wi-Fi. Again, if you have a MacBook that you're installing this on, it's going to give you an option to install this or to sign into your Wi-Fi, right? And that's what I did. And this is for Mac OS, right? You'll get to a screen that will ask you if you want to try and install Linux. Choose that option. So that's pretty much the same with Windows. I'm trying to kind of like accommodate people who are installing Windows and who's installing Linux on Windows or Windows computer, or if they're people who are installing Linux on a Mac, right? Then you'll get to a screen that'll ask you if you want to install third-party software for graphics and Wi-Fi hardware and additional media formats. I highly suggest you select this option because you want full compatibility between your hardware and software. So that's another important point. Make sure that if you get that option and you're on a Mac, to select that option, because if you don't, you're gonna have some issues with the software recognizing your Wi-Fi card, and that again could be a nightmare. You're gonna need the internet to install these Python packages, etc. So yeah, that goes doubly for if you're using a MacBook, right? Like I did. So you can choose other options that will allow for you to install Linux along with other operating systems, but simply follow the prompts. That is the general gist of installing these type of things, right? These operating systems. You just follow the prompt, but you also got to know what to press, what not to press. I would highly suggest that if you come upon an error, go ahead and Google it, because Google will save your ass, right? Get used to using Google a lot. So once the installation is finished, reboot and you're all set, right? And before that, you'll get a chance to create a user account, set a strong password, and all of that, right? that's the general gist of installing Linux, whether it's on a Windows machine or what was previously a Windows machine, or if it's a Mac. It's generally the same thing. All you need to do is follow the prompts and you'll be good. Let's see if this finished. All right, yeah, this takes a while. Not like I'm waiting on it, but I just wanted to use it as an example. And also, see, you can use this to play around with the Raspberry Pi and all that stuff, right? So now, the fun part, as my computer just goes to sleep. If you're wondering why I keep on turning over here, it's because I have my Mac running, I have my laptop running, and I'm logged into it via TeamViewer so that I can remotely manage it. That's another skill that you're gonna have to learn if you're gonna be in the IT world. Get real comfortable with remote management software, get real comfortable with RDP, remote access tools and stuff like that, right? So next, what is Python exactly? So Python is one of the most well-known high-level programming languages. So I actually learned, like I said before, I actually learned Python years ago, but I didn't take it seriously. The professor said, yeah, Python is the future and yada, yada, yada. And I'm just like, yeah, right, whatever. Like I didn't care. I was all about C and C++, two other programming languages that I learned during my time studying engineering. And yeah, I just didn't really care about Python. I didn't put much into it. I did the coding projects that she gave us, but I just didn't really care. Now, look, years later, I need to know Python and I haven't got a clue on how to code anything in Python. So that's what we're doing now. We're trying to, get back there where I was at least a little bit functional in Python back then. So here's some things that Python can do. Earlier, I think I mentioned some functions of Python. It's a very functional, high-level programming language, but this programming language allows for you to do so many things now, and it's relatively easy to learn in comparison to C and C++. I had a hard time learning C. I guess that's why I ignored Python, because I thought that, yeah, no pain, no gain, gotta really, get my ass handed to me if I want to be good at anything. But no, not necessarily. So here we go. Some things that Python can do. Reading and modifying files in a database on a server. Create web applications. I think you can create applications in general with Python, but that's another powerful thing, right? Especially if you're creating a software as a service type of thing. I think that you can do that in Python. I think, don't quote me on that. I'm not a programmer. I don't know any of this stuff. I'm just guessing, right? So you can also create workflows. I think that's gonna come in handy when we're talking about automation and programmability and network engineering, right? Handling large amounts of data. That's a good one. And machine learning. A lot of people care about machine learning right now, right? So again, the benefits of installing Ubuntu, which I hope you installed by now, is that Ubuntu and other Debian-based Linux systems ship with Python 3 pre-installed, like mine did. But you have to make sure that yours is up to date. So now we're gonna get into some of the Linux stuff, right? So how do we check that Python is up to date? Here we go. So we just do this. Let me adjust my chair. Adjust this a little bit. So we're basically going to be doing this, right? Python 3 -- version, right? So as we can see here, it's Python 3.10.4, right? That's the newest version of Python, but I'm going to walk us through how to install Python, make sure it's updated, and explain a few things that you need to know with regard to like basic Linux stuff, right? So before we do anything else, we have to make sure that our system is updated. And this is some basic Linux lessons, if you will, right? And how we do that is we do sudo apt update. We're gonna hit and oops, and my system is a little bit slow. App upgrade, right? So this basically means run apt update and run apt upgrade, right? You gotta put in our password. There we go. So we're gonna do, you know what? We can just go ahead and put this to the side. I wanted to do everything here, but anyway, we're just gonna have to adjust, right? We build while we're flying, right? All right. So as you can see here, I have everything upgraded already. It installed whatever it installed earlier yesterday when I was fooling around with this stuff, right? And our next, what we have to do next is, better yet, I could probably still use this computer. It was just running really slow. Next, we're going to install the prerequisites that will allow us to keep Python up to date. We're going to do this via the Dead Snakes Launchpad Personal Package Archive, PPA. So this basically allows developers to push updates to a repository, and users can download these updates as they would any other updates for their system. So that's basically what a personal package archive is, right? It allows for you to create like a little database or repository of where your apps are, and you can upload updates to that repository periodically. And once you do that, users can download the updates from that repository, pretty much bringing it down to their Linux system, and they can use the files, right? So I'm guessing that Dead Snakes is the name of the Python repository to update the Python program, right? The Python version, right? So next, we're gonna do this. And hopefully I don't break anything because I didn't do this. I don't think I need to do this. I think it's already done. But let's see. Next, you're gonna put this command in. Yep. So yeah, I already have all of this done. I did this yesterday when I updated everything. Came with the Ubuntu. Python came on Ubuntu already, and it's pretty, straightforward from here, right? We're just gonna go step by step so that you guys can, get these commands and just follow along. Oh, also, what is APT, right? So APT stands for Advanced Packaging Tool, right? It's a package manager that allows for installation, updates, and deletion of software packages in a Debian-based Linux system. So essentially, it's a command line version of the App Store or the Google Play Store or something like that, right? On Linux systems, so basically Linux it's a free open source operating system, and that means that you can develop it, edit it any which way you want, which will create a distro, a distribution, or a flavor is what some people are calling it, right? So essentially it's built on this kernel, this platform, and you have something called the APT. And the APT allows you to install and remove and update the software applications that developers develop, right? So that's why you see sudo apt update, and you see things like sudo apt upgrade. Like, you see those type of things because it upgrades the repositories and things like that, right? So now what we're gonna do is we're going to add the the Dead Snakes PPA to our apt, right? If we don't already have it, right? Then this is the command. Sudo add apt repository PPA Dead Snakes PPA that, right? I think it's already installed. I think. So what is sudo? If you're new, fairly new to Linux like I am, sudo basically gives you the permission to do things, right? So now we have to update our apt again to make sure that we have that installed in our system, right? Sudo apt update. You have to make sure that we have the Dead Snakes PPA in our system. So all packages are up to date. Nice. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do this because I want to use my Mac rather than using the team viewer. Just making sure I'm in frame. Don't worry, guys. The production quality is gonna go up. I'm gonna get this recording thing down pat. So next, matter of fact, just move it back. Let's move it back. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is install Python. We have to actually install Python now, right? Sudo apt install Python 3.10 y, right? Again, it's already installed. I already installed it. See, it says Python is already the newest version, 3.10.4-3, right? That's already installed, right? Now, check your Python version, Python 3 -- version. We see that again, it's updated. Now, we're gonna actually do some coding in Python. Coding, it's not much coding at all. It's gonna be some, basic stuff, right? It's not gonna be creating a web app or logging into a database or anything like that. We're going to just, print some stuff, and then we're gonna code some stuff up, and then we're gonna print it out. That's pretty much all we're gonna do. This requires some CLI knowledge, and I'm gonna show you some tips and tricks to work around some of the CLI stuff if you're not really comfortable navigating folders using command line. But first, the CLI stuff. So what I like to do is create a folder where my Python codes or scripts are gonna live, right? And what I did was I created a Python folder, right? This is where all of my little Python, little test stuff. This is my projects that I did yesterday, right? Little test Python scripts, if you will, right? So I have this folder already set up, right? And the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna navigate to that folder, right? So we're just gonna do this, cd, which is change directory, this command right here, ipvdre, and this is, hold on. That's why it's not, for some reason the caps button is not working here. All right, I gotta move over to my other machine. For some reason the caps button wasn't working. It's not working. So that's why it wasn't letting me log in, because my password was off. All right, so cd home ipvdre documents, remember it's case sensitive, documents Python, right? So now we're in our Python folder. Now we're going to create a text file, right? And how you do that is touch, and then let's name it my Python code.py, right? So we did that. We didn't need to use sudo, whatever. Now, nano, my Python code.py. This code allows us to edit that file that we just created, right? So now I'm going to put a little comment here and I'm going to say my new Python code. Yay, right? That's fun. Now, this code, all we're going to do is we're going to do two things. We're going to do a math problem, and we're also going to print hello world, right? Those of you who are really into this coding stuff or who understand the history of computers know the significance of hello world. So now let's create a variable, right? Variable could be hello, or it could be hi, but let's use hello, right? Hello equals, and a variable in Python is similar to the variables in algebra, right? So it's gonna be hello, and then, oops, where am I at? Hello, and then you're gonna put single quote, hello world, right? And then we're gonna create another variable because we're doing our math problem, right? We're gonna do math problem is gonna be, the variable is gonna be answer. It's equal to, this is the fun part, 2 plus 4, because my favorite number is 8. Oh, 2 plus 6. I can't do math. See, I told you I was hungry. Can't do math right now. That's why we have Python. Python is gonna figure it out for us, right? I was thinking 2 times 4. Never do a video on an empty stomach. Now, you're gonna print hello, which is going to be the variable we have here. You can't see my mouse here, but see the variable there. And then we could also do print answer, right? And then we'll just save it. Oops, control that, and then we're gonna save it. I believe that's the right and then we're gonna exit out. I believe that's the right syntax. If it's not, then we'll work through it. Python, and you're just gonna, now let me move back. So now what we're gonna do is we're going to print our Python code out, if you will, right? So Python, or execute it, I don't know, run it, I don't know, is that the coding lingo, right? You're gonna execute it, run it. So you do Python my Python code.py. Yes, Python 3. See, I forgot. Python 3. You gotta put Python 3. There you go. Hello World 8. That is our first Python, our first little Python coding script, if you will. Now, if you're not comfortable with navigating the command line like we did here with regard to, let's use this as a pointer, with regard to all of this stuff right here, I'm gonna show you a way around that, right? So let's get out of here. Let's clear the screen. So in Linux, you just type clear. In Windows, it's CLS, I believe. So that's an A+ topic that you need to know. Trust me, that's A+ Core 2 that you really need to get familiar with, right? So now let's backtrack, right? CD. Now we're back to whichever folder we're in. I forgot which folder this means we're in, right? So now, remember, in order to run your Python scripts, you need to be in the folder where you're going to be creating your Python file, right? So let's navigate there, right? And I believe you could do this in any order, right? You can kind of like, mix and match the order. You can, I guess, navigate there first, and then create your Python script, or you can create your Python script first and then navigate there. It doesn't really matter, right? But a trick that I like to use is I like to use this. When I wasn't familiar with the command line and how to navigate, I just dragged and dropped my folder in, and then it shows in quotations here, right? And all you gotta do, delete the quotations of the directory, or the path, if you will, and just hit CD. Boom. Now you're where you need to be, right? Now, back over here, we can just come over here like this, and we can create a document, right? Now you can right click it, and for some of you, you'll have the option to create a document. But I don't have that option. So what I'll do is load up my text editor, and then I'll just create another script, right? And just do another script. Boom, boom, right? Do hi is equal to quotation. Gotta remember the syntax. Hello world. Boom, boom. Or let's go back. Answer equal, I don't know. Let's do 76 plus 76. Now we're just gonna print hi, and then we're going to print answer, right? And once we've done that, you're going to save it to where you are running Python from in your CLI, right? Still got to go back to the CLI, right? So let's put test2.py. Remember, we got to save it to where we want to run it, right? I almost forgot for a second. Test2.py, click save. Now you see it came up with all of this fancy stuff here, right? Fancy colors, if you will. And then now you can just run it. Python 3, not gonna forget this time, test2.py, and then it prints it, right? Hello world and 152, which is 76 plus 76. Now there's another way to navigate straight to the folder in the CLI, right? Let's change directory. I forgot how to go back. Do I do it like this? I don't remember. CD, but you can go back, right? Still rusty with Linux. You can just simply come here and open in terminal. That's like the super shortcut to do it, right? Now you just run your code. Python 3, and you do, I don't know, you could do, I don't know, test EQ. What's in here? What's in here? Yeah, that's funny. Get money, don't make no money. Like, I don't know what that is. She know who she is, who wrote that. I don't know why she wrote that. That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, so you clear it, and then now you're back, right? I think it's CD and then the tilde. Where's the tilde? Yeah. See, I'm getting, it's coming back to me. It's like riding a bike. So that's how you navigate all the way back. And then again, get used to doing this, things like this. Get used to doing things like this. You know, going to the path that you want to go. Documents, I don't know. Yeah, documents, right? And remember, it's case sensitive. So look, if I try to do that same thing again, right? Change directory. See, now I'm getting into the flow. I'm enjoying this. IPv Dre, and then I try to put lowercase d for the documents, and then Python. It's not gonna let me navigate there. See? Which is weird. So what I have to do is capitalize and it let me go there. Yeah, it's case sensitive. It's funny like that. So that's pretty much that, right? What does the exit command do? Does it close it out? Yeah, it does. That's pretty much that. cleared. You know, you just want to get used to it. Exit. You don't got to do all of that. But that's pretty much that. So we ran the code through the CLI, created it in a myriad of ways, right? You know, you can create the code through the command line. You could create the code outside the command line by creating the text document, and then we ran it within the CLI. You can't avoid the CLI no matter what you do. Yeah, that was pretty fun. Like, that's how you essentially get started with this stuff. Like, all it takes is for you to decide that you want to learn this stuff and be curious enough to play around. Like, for instance, I got a brand new computer now. This thing is running like brand new, and I think that it's one of the most amazing things. I don't know. I really appreciate the fact that, you know, the Linux kernel is free, because it essentially gave me 5 more years of, I guess, use out of this MacBook Pro 2012. And again, I got this when it first came out. I got it in 2012. That was 10 years ago. Let's see if I can get another 5 years out of it. That's 15 years, which I believe that I can. Apple makes their get a sip of water. Apple makes their products really well, and that's what I appreciate about Apple. Not saying that other devices aren't made well. They really are. I love the Lenovo, even though some decide to solder the memory onto the motherboard for some reason. I don't know why that's a thing. It doesn't make any sense to me, but hey, it is what it is. I'm pretty sure it fits into some, you know, I guess business policy or business plan or something like that. Businessy stuff. It's a certain level of business intelligence going on there. But anyway, if you want to see more videos like this, click right here, and I'll talk to you guys next time.